They didn't use the word abandon. They used the word transition. That's how cruelty works when it's wearing a cardigan and a concerned smile. It tiptoes in through language, soft words stacked like pillows over your face until you can't breathe, but everyone around you thinks you're just sleeping. My daughter drove me to Maplewood Senior Living on a Wednesday. She told me we were going to look at it. Just a tour, Mom. Just to see. I wore my good shoes, the ones Walter bought me the year before he died. Navy blue, low heel, real leather. I thought I was visiting. I didn't know I was moving in. She'd already packed a suitcase. It was in the trunk the whole time. While I was admiring the garden out front, she was at the front desk filling out paperwork. By the time I turned around, a woman named Janet with a lanyard and a clipboard was calling me by my first name like we'd known each other for years. "Ruth, your room is all ready. Let me show you the way." I looked at my daughter. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "It's just for a little while," she said, "until we figure things out." "Figure what out?" I wanted to ask. "I'm standing right here. I know my name. I know my address. I know where I keep the cinnamon and which drawer sticks when it rains." But the words didn't come, not because I couldn't find them, because something in my chest had locked shut, like a door slammed by wind you didn't see coming. She left before dinner, didn't say goodbye, just squeezed my hand and said, "I'll call tomorrow." She didn't call tomorrow. She didn't call for 9 days. Room 14B had a window that faced the parking lot. I could see the dumpsters and a row of hedges someone had trimmed into sad little squares. The bed had rails, like a crib. The closet had 3 hangers and a shelf too high for me to reach without a step stool they never provided. I sat on the mattress and listened. Somewhere down the hall, a man was singing hymns off-key. A television played a game show with the volume too loud. Footsteps, always footsteps. Rubber soles on linoleum, never stopping, never slowing down for anyone in particular. I didn't sleep that first night. I lay in the dark and walked through my house in my mind. The front porch with the crooked railing Walter always said he'd fix. The kitchen clock shaped like a rooster that hadn't kept time since 2011, but I never took it down because it was the first thing we'd hung together. The bedroom closet where I kept a shoebox full of letters he'd written me during the Gulf War. Not love letters exactly. Walter wasn't the poetic kind. But real letters. Letters that said things like, "I ate powdered eggs this morning and thought of your scramble. I'd give anything to be sitting at that wobbly table right now." Those letters were still in that closet, I hoped. On the 3rd day, I asked to use the phone. The nurse, a tired woman named Pam, said I wasn't on the approved call list yet. "Your daughter needs to authorize it. My daughter needs to authorize me to make a phone call." I let that sink in. Let it sit there like a stone in my stomach. On the 4th day, I asked again. Same answer. On the 5th day, I stopped asking. Not because I gave up, because I started paying attention. Maplewood was not a bad place in the way you see on the news. Nobody hit anyone. Nobody screamed at night. But it was a place designed to make you smaller. The hallways were wide, but the rooms were narrow. The food came on trays with lids, like airline meals without the destination. They gave us schedules printed on bright paper. Chair yoga at 10. Bingo at 2. Movie night on Fridays, as if filling our hours would make us forget they weren't ours to begin with. I met Earl on day 6. He was sitting in the common room with a crossword puzzle and a pen that had no ink. He didn't seem to mind. He just tapped the squares like he was playing piano on the page. "You're new," he said without looking up. "I'm temporary," I replied. He laughed. That's what I said. 8 years ago, Earl was 81, a retired mailman from Beaumont. His son had put him here after his wife died. Said he couldn't be trusted to live alone. "I burned a pot of soup once," Earl told me. Once. And suddenly, I'm a fire hazard. He had a way of smiling that made his whole face look like it was apologizing for something. I liked him. He was the only person in the building who still carried a wallet, even though there was nowhere to spend a dime. On day 9, my daughter finally came. Karen walked in, wearing sunglasses pushed up on her head like she'd just come from brunch. Her husband Derek was with her. He stayed by the door, hands in his pockets, nodding at nurses like he was inspecting the place. "Mom, you look great," Karen said. "I was wearing the same blouse I'd worn for 3 days because nobody had brought me more clothes. I brought your blue robe," she added, pulling it from a shopping bag, "and some of your toiletries." "I'd rather have my phone," I said. She hesitated. "We talked about this. Doctor Patterson said too much screen time can increase confusion." "I'm not confused, Karen. I'm imprisoned." Derek coughed. Karen's smile tightened. "Don't be dramatic, Mom. This is a nice place. People pay good money to live here." "I didn't pay anything," I said. "Because nobody asked me." She changed the subject. Started talking about the yard, the house, how they'd cleaned out the gutters and fixed the back fence. "Derek thinks we should rent it out," she said casually, like she was discussing the weather. "While it's sitting empty." I felt something cold slide through me. "It's not sitting empty. It's waiting for me to come home." "Mom, that's my house, Karen. Your father and I built that life together. Every room, every wall, every creak in that floor is mine." She looked at Derek. He shrugged. "It's just practical, Ruth," he said. First time he'd spoken directly to me. "The market's strong right now. Could bring in $2,000-3,000 a month." "Over my dead body," I said. They left 20 minutes later. Karen kissed my forehead. Derek waved from the hallway. And I sat in my room with the blue robe on my lap and made a decision. I was done being managed. I was done being polite. I was done waiting for someone to hand me back my own life. That night, I couldn't sleep again. But this time, it wasn't grief keeping me up. It was fury. The good kind. The kind that sharpens you instead of breaking you. I got up, went to the window, and pressed my forehead against the glass. My reflection looked back at me, an old woman in a room she didn't choose, but her eyes were steady. I turned around and opened the suitcase Karen had packed. I hadn't gone through it properly until now. 3 blouses, 1 pair of slacks, underwear, my reading glasses, a romance novel I'd never asked for, and at the very bottom, folded inside a Ziploc bag, a brown leather folder. Walter's folder, the one he kept in the top drawer of his nightstand. I'd seen it 1,000 times but never opened it. It was his personal paperwork. Insurance documents, military records, that sort of thing. After he died, I'd meant to go through it but never could. Karen must have tossed it in without looking. I opened it slowly. Inside were 3 documents. The first was Walter's discharge papers from the Army. The second was our marriage certificate, slightly yellowed. The third was a letter from a financial firm I'd never heard of, Hargrove Weiss Capital Management. Dated 11 months before Walter died. I read it twice, then a third time. "Dear Mr. Calloway, this letter confirms the establishment of your irrevocable trust account, funded with proceeds from your military pension, reinvestment, and life insurance conversion. Current balance as of this statement, $3,217,844. Sole beneficiary upon your passing, Ruth Evelyn Calloway. $3 million. My hands didn't shake. They went still, completely still, like all the noise in the world had stopped and was listening along with me. Walter had never said a word. He'd worked his postal route for 2 years, clipped coupons, drove the same truck for a decade, and somewhere, quietly, he had built this. Not for himself. For me. I pressed the letter against my chest and closed my eyes. Walter, you stubborn, beautiful man. You knew, didn't you? You knew they'd come for me. I didn't tell a soul. Not Earl, not Pam, not the janitor who always said good morning even when nobody else did. I folded the letter back into the folder, zipped it into the bag, and tucked it under the mattress where the rails made a gap nobody would think to check. For 3 days, I moved through Maplewood like I always had. Sat in the common room, ate the tasteless chicken, smiled at the staff, let them think I was adjusting. But inside, I was building a ladder, one rung at a time. On Thursday, I convinced Pam to let me use the staff phone. "I need to call my insurance about a prescription," I said. She didn't question it. I dialed the number on the letter. A woman answered. "Calm, professional. Hargrove Weiss Capital Management. How may I direct your call?" "My name is Ruth Calloway. My husband was Walter Calloway. I believe there's an account in my name." A pause. Clicking keys. "Yes, Mrs. Calloway. The trust is active. You are the sole beneficiary. The account was transferred to your name upon Mr. Calloway's passing. Current balance is $3,412,000. It had grown. Of course it had. Walter would have picked something steady, something that grew like a tree, not a firework. "Has anyone else contacted you about this account?" I asked. "No, ma'am. You're the first." "Good," I said. "I'd like to keep it that way. Can you connect me with someone who handles estate protection?" She transferred me. Within 15 minutes, I had a name. A lawyer named Gloria Reeves, who specialized in elder rights and financial autonomy. Her office was 40 minutes away. She could come to me. She'd done it before. I hung up and walked back to my room like nothing had happened. Earl waved from the common room. I waved back. He had no idea that the woman shuffling past in house slippers had just activated $3 million from a phone next to the mop closet. Gloria came the following Tuesday. She signed in as a church volunteer, brought a Bible and a plate of cookies. Nobody questioned her. We sat in the back garden on a bench near the fence where the ivy had started creeping over the rails. I told her everything. The power of attorney Karen had filed. The house they wanted to rent. The phone restriction. The suitcase packed without my knowledge. She listened without interrupting. Then she opened her notebook. "Did you sign the power of attorney willingly?" "I signed something 2 years ago. Karen said it was for medical emergencies." I didn't read every page. I trusted her. "Did you have independent legal counsel at the time?" "No." "Were you told it gave her full financial control?" "No." Gloria nodded slowly. "That's enough to challenge it." "But the trust account changes everything. They don't know about it? Nobody knows. Then we use that. We file a motion to revoke the power of attorney, freeze any sale or rental of your property, and establish independent control of your finances. The trust gives you standing. It shows you have resources, judgment, and the ability to manage your own affairs." "How long?" 3 weeks. Maybe less, if the judge sees what I think she'll see. She handed me a card with a phone number. "Call this number if anything changes. If they try to move you, sell anything, or restrict your communication further, call immediately." After she left, I sat on that bench and watched the sky turn from blue to copper. A bird landed on the fence, small, brown, nothing remarkable, but it sat there for a long time, looking at me like it had something to say. I thought of Walter. Of all those quiet years he'd worked and saved and never once complained. He didn't leave me money. He left me armor. The next few weeks were a performance. I smiled more, joined the bingo games, complimented the food even when it tasted like wet paper. Sandra started telling other nurses that I was really settling in. Good. Let them write that in my file. Let them build a picture of a content, cooperative woman who wouldn't dream of causing trouble. Meanwhile, Gloria was filing motions, pulling records, building a case. Earl noticed something was different. We were sitting in the common room one afternoon, watching rain streak down the windows. "You've got to look," he said. "What look?" "Like you're counting cards at a table nobody else can see." I smiled. "Maybe I am." He leaned back. "Good for you, Ruth. Whatever it is, good for you." He told me about his wife that day, Clara, how she used to hum while she cooked, how she could never keep a plant alive but kept buying them anyway, how she died in this building, in room 22, while he was down the hall eating Jell-O. "They told me after," he said. like it was a scheduling update. His voice didn't crack. It had already broken long ago and healed into something flatter. "I should have taken her home," he said. "Should have fought harder." "You're still here," I said. "That counts for something." He looked at me. "Does it?" I reached into my pocket and pulled out Gloria's card. "Call this number," I said. "Tell them Earl Wilkins sent you. Tell them you want to go home." He stared at the card like it was written in a language he'd forgotten. Then he tucked it into his shirt pocket, right next to his heart. "Might just do that," he whispered. Karen came back the following Saturday, this time without Derek. She brought flowers and a fruit basket and a guilt I could smell from across the lobby. "I've been thinking," she said, sitting across from me in the visitor's room. "Maybe we rushed things." "You did. I just want you to be safe. I was safe in my own home for 41 years. She twisted her ring. The doctor said I had mild arthritis and occasional forgetfulness. That's not a diagnosis. That's being 74. She was quiet for a moment. Then she leaned forward. "Mom, Derek and we've already started showing the house." I kept my face still. "To renters, to buyers." The room went cold, not the temperature. "Something deeper." "You're selling my house," I said. "Not selling. Exploring options, without telling me." "We were going to tell you." "When? After the papers were signed? After someone else was sleeping in my bedroom?" She stood up. "I don't need your permission, Mom. I have legal authority. For now," I said. She blinked. "What does that mean?" "It means I've had a lot of time to think in here, and I've been doing more than bingo." For the first time since she put me in this place, I saw something other than pity or annoyance in her eyes. I saw fear. She left without hugging me. Good. 3 days later, Gloria called the facility. She identified herself as my legal representative and requested that all decisions regarding my care, property, and finances be paused, pending a judicial review. The administrator, a man named Fitch, who always smelled like mouthwash and ambition, called Karen immediately. I know because Karen called me that night. First time she'd used the phone to reach me instead of the other way around. "What have you done?" she said. "I hired a lawyer." "You can't do that." "I just did." "Mom, this is ridiculous. You're in a care facility. You don't need a lawyer. You need rest. I need my name back. I need my house back. I need you to stop treating me like a problem to be managed. I'm trying to help you." "Then let me go home." Silence. Long, heavy, full of things neither of us had the courage to say. Then she hung up. The hearing was scheduled for a Thursday. Gloria picked me up herself. I wore the navy shoes, Walter's shoes. The courtroom was small. Karen sat on the other side with a lawyer Derek had found. She wouldn't look at me. Gloria presented everything. The power of attorney filed without my informed consent. The attempted sale of my home without authorization. The phone restrictions. The isolation. She presented my medical records showing no cognitive decline. She presented a statement from an independent psychologist confirming I was fully competent. And then she presented the trust account. Karen's face went white. "Mrs. Calloway," the judge said, "were you aware your husband established this trust?" "No, Your Honor. I found the paperwork recently." "And did your daughter know about it?" "No, because my husband apparently understood something I didn't, that I might need protection from the people closest to me." Karen flinched. The judge reviewed the documents for what felt like an hour, but was probably 10 minutes. Then she looked up. "The court finds insufficient grounds for the existing power of attorney. It is hereby revoked. Mrs. Calloway is restored to full legal autonomy over her person, her property, and her finances." She paused. "And Mrs. Calloway, I want you to know that this court takes elder financial exploitation very seriously. If you wish to pursue further action, you have every right to do so." "Thank you, Your Honor," I said. "But I didn't come here for punishment. I came here for my keys." Outside, the air tasted different, like the sky had been holding its breath with me. Karen stood on the courthouse steps, arms crossed, eyes red. "You could have just talked to me," she said. "I tried," I replied. "You took my phone." She opened her mouth, closed it. Then, quietly, "Dad left you all that money and never told anyone?" "He told the one person who needed it." "I wasn't trying to steal from you, Mom." "No," I said. "You were trying to erase me." "There's a difference. One takes your money, the other takes your name." She started crying. I didn't comfort her. Not because I didn't love her, because love without accountability is just habit, and I was done with habits that cost me everything. "If you want to rebuild this," I said, "you can start by bringing my things home. All of them. Every box, every photo, every letter your father ever wrote me, and you'll never sign my name to anything again." She nodded. "I'm sorry." "I know," I said, "but sorry is a door. You still have to walk through it." Gloria drove me home. When I opened the front door, the house smelled like dust and silence. But it was mine. Every creak, every shadow, every fingerprint on the light switch. I walked through each room slowly, touched the walls, opened the windows, let the air come in like an old friend who'd been waiting on the porch. In the kitchen, I made tea. Real tea. In the cup with the faded roses that Walter gave me on our anniversary in 1993. I sat at the table and drank it slowly. The next morning, I called the financial firm and asked them to set up two things: a trust fund for my grandson Noah, who was 19 and working 2 jobs to put himself through community college. He'd visited me at Maplewood every week, even when his mother told him not to. He brought me crossword books and chocolate almonds and never once looked at me like I was fragile. He was getting a full ride. Every penny of tuition, books, housing, and he wouldn't find out until the letter arrived. The second thing I asked for was a monthly donation to a legal aid organization that helps elderly people fight guardianship abuse, because I had Walter's armor. But most people in those hallways had nothing. They had no folder, no letter, no hidden account. They had cold oatmeal and a window facing the parking lot and a family that stopped answering the phone. They deserved a Gloria, too. I thought about Earl, wondered if he ever called that number, wondered if he was still sitting in the common room, tapping a dry pen against a crossword he'd already solved in his head. I hoped he was fighting. I hoped someone had handed him the same thing Walter handed me, not money. Permission to believe he still mattered. That evening, I sat on my front porch for the first time in months. The railing was still crooked. The rooster clock inside still didn't work. The hydrangeas had gone wild without me, blooming in every direction like they'd been set free. I didn't fix anything. I just sat there, watched the streetlight flicker on, listened to the neighbor's dog bark at nothing, felt the wood of the chair under my palms, solid, real, mine. If you're listening to this and you recognize any part of it, the suitcase packed without your knowledge, the house discussed like you'd already left it, the smile your child gives you when they've decided you're done being a person, I want you to hear me. You are not an inconvenience. You are not a line item on someone's budget. You are not finished just because someone decided your chapter was over. Speak, even if your voice shakes, even if they don't listen at first, even if the only person who hears you is you, because that's enough. That's where it starts. Walter knew it. He just couldn't say it out loud. So he wrote it down, folded it up, and hid it in a place only I would find. And now I'm saying it for both of us. You matter. Your name matters. And no one gets to pack your life into a suitcase and call it love.